What if I told you that the very thing you keep waiting for, the thing you believe will finally change your life, is actually the reason you stay stuck? That thing is motivation. That sudden rush of energy when you feel like you can conquer the world, the excitement of a new idea, the promise you make to yourself, "This time I will not quit." It feels powerful in the moment. It feels real. But then days pass, the excitement fades, the work becomes repetitive, slow, even boring, and that same motivation disappears like it was never there. And once again, you're left staring at something unfinished, questioning yourself, wondering why you can never follow through. You think maybe you're lazy, maybe you lack talent, maybe something is wrong with you. But the truth is much simpler and much more powerful. There is nothing wrong with you. You've just been relying on the wrong fuel. Let me tell you a story, not just any story, but one that might quietly change the way you look at your entire life. It's about a young watchmaker named Leo and an old clock that no one believed could ever tick again. But more than that, it's about discovering a force inside you that is stronger than excitement, stronger than inspiration, and far more reliable than motivation. Leo inherited a small, dusty watch shop from his father. His father wasn't just any watchmaker. He was known as one of the finest craftsmen in the entire country. People trusted him not just because he could fix watches, but because he treated every piece like it mattered. The shop itself felt alive. The soft ticking of dozens of clocks filled the air, each one keeping time like a heartbeat. Tiny tools were carefully arranged, and every corner held years of quiet dedication. But when Leo took over, something was different. Leo was talented, no doubt about that. He understood how gears worked, how springs moved, how time itself was measured inside these delicate machines. But talent was not his problem. His problem was patience. He didn't enjoy the slow, repetitive tasks. Fixing an old watch for a customer, replacing a battery, cleaning a dusty mechanism. To him, it felt small. It felt beneath him. In his mind, he was meant for something greater. He believed he was an inventor, someone who would create extraordinary clocks the world had never seen before. His notebook was filled with ideas, clocks with moving planets, designs that came alive every hour, creations that were beautiful and complex. Whenever a new idea came to him, he felt unstoppable. He would sit for hours, completely lost in the excitement, working with passion and energy. But the moment things became difficult, the moment he faced a problem he couldn't immediately solve, that feeling disappeared. Frustration replaced excitement, doubt replaced confidence, and just like that, he would abandon the project, convincing himself that maybe the next idea would be better, easier, more exciting.
Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. His shop slowly started to fall apart. Dust began to settle everywhere. Customers stopped coming. The place that once felt alive now felt empty. The ticking of clocks became quieter, almost like they too were losing hope. Leo didn't realize it yet, but he wasn't just losing his business, he was losing himself. Then, one morning, something unexpected happened. An old man walked into the shop carrying a large grandfather clock. It was beautiful, dark polished wood, intricate brass details, but it was completely silent. The old man placed it carefully on the counter and said in a calm, almost emotional voice that the clock had not worked for over 50 years. He had taken it to many watchmakers, but all of them had given up. They said it was beyond repair. They said only Leo's father could have fixed it. Then the man looked directly into Leo's eyes and said something that changed everything. He said he had heard Leo had the same talent as his father, and if he could fix the clock, he would pay enough money to save the shop. In that moment, Leo felt something powerful surge through him, that familiar spark, that excitement. This wasn't boring work anymore. This was a challenge, a legendary clock, a chance to prove himself. Without hesitation, he said yes. For the first few days, everything felt incredible. Leo worked non-stop, carefully taking the clock apart piece by piece. He was focused, energized, completely driven. But then reality set in. The clock wasn't just complicated, it was extremely detailed, with over 1,000 tiny parts. To fix it, he had to inspect every single piece, clean it, measure it, understand it. It was slow, repetitive, and painfully boring. After a week, the excitement was gone, completely gone. He sat there staring at hundreds of tiny parts scattered across his table, feeling nothing but frustration. His mind started drifting back to new ideas, new designs, something more exciting. He began to think this wasn't worth his time. Maybe he should just quit and move on. One afternoon, overwhelmed and angry, he accidentally knocked a tray of small screws onto the floor. As he bent down to pick them up, something inside him broke. He felt like a failure again. Another unfinished project, another promise he couldn't keep. That night, he decided he would give up. But before closing the shop for good, he started going through his father's old desk. Inside, he found something unexpected: old journals, work logs. Curious, he opened one. He thought he would find secrets, genius ideas, something inspiring. But what he found was something completely different. Page after page of simple notes, small jobs, fixing watches, cleaning parts, trying and failing, then trying again the next day. At first, it didn't make sense to him. Where was the brilliance? Where was the passion? Then he reached the final page, and there he found a message written by his father. It said that a man who works only when he feels inspired will start many things, but finish nothing, and that great work is not built on feelings, but on consistency. You don't show up because you feel good, you show up, and sometimes, through the work, you begin to feel good. That moment changed Leo completely. The next morning, he walked into his shop with a different mindset. He didn't wait for motivation. He didn't look for excitement. He simply sat down and started working. He made a rule for himself. He would work for a fixed amount of time every day, no matter how he felt, even if it was boring, even if it was frustrating, even if he made no progress.
The first few days were difficult. His mind kept telling him to quit, but he didn't listen. He kept showing up, day after day. Slowly, something started to shift. He began to notice small improvements. He found a strange sense of satisfaction in completing tiny tasks. The work that once felt meaningless now started to feel important. Weeks passed, and then finally he found the problem: a tiny defect in a small gear, something almost invisible, something he would have never found if he hadn't stayed consistent. Carefully, he fixed it. Then he reassembled the entire clock, and when he finally set it back together and gave it a gentle push, it started ticking. That sound wasn't just the sound of a clock, it was the sound of discipline, the sound of patience, the sound of someone who didn't quit. When the old man returned and heard the clock again after so many years, he was overwhelmed with emotion. And in that moment, Leo realized something deeper. The work was never just about proving himself. It was about commitment. It was about doing something meaningful, even when it's hard, even when it's boring. And that is the lesson for you. Motivation might start your journey, but it will never finish it. Discipline is what carries you forward when everything else fades. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel inspired. You just need to show up. Because success is not built in moments of excitement. It is built in the quiet days when no one is watching, when you feel like quitting but choose to continue anyway, when you take one small step, then another, and another. So stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start now. Do the work, even if it feels small, even if it feels boring. Because those small steps, repeated every single day, are what creates something truly powerful. And one day, just like that clock, your life will start ticking in a way you never imagined.